Okay, hello everybody. Back at the second tutorial on how to make a Roblox exploit using XAML. Within this tutorial, what we're doing is a key system. Let's head on over to Visual Studio for a second. Go back to our app2.sln. Head over to our Solution Explorer. Right click, add a new window. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it the key system. Create that new window. Starting things off, I'm going to set the window startup location to center screen. The window style to none. The resize mode to no resize. And I'm going to set this to allows transparency. Allows transparency allows you to use a border with corner radius instead of using the default window from Windows 11. Set your background to null and start the process. Remember to stay at 100% focus or zoom. Head over to Assets, plop in a border there. And just to be sure, build your first tutorial. If you get this, that means you didn't change the value within the app.xaml file. You can fix this by heading over to the app.xaml file and replacing the window with the proper key system window. Startup URI is equal to keysystem.xaml. Start it again. As we can see, that it's a little smaller than we anticipated. What we do is we resize it. Fairly simple enough, isn't it? Now, we check if it actually fits our liking. And to my surprise, it does. Works fairly well. Now, we utilize our colors and the color scheme. For this one, I'm choosing a blue accent. So the value here is going to be this. Maybe a little bit too much, but we'll adjust it accordingly. We also set the corner radius to a solid 8. Now that we have sufficient corners, we'll move on to the insides. Pop in a grid, so then it can hold the child objects. After that, insert an ellipsoid over there.
No.
Set the color over here. Set it to 22%, get rid of the stroke. Adjust your margining. And now, we're going to utilize the SVG icons which I have just for this. Open up your notepad. Export your SVG onto there. As you can see within here, there's a path data right here. D is equal to, and all this random text here. What you're going to do, copy, and paste it into this ellipse. Now that you placed it inside the data section, adjust the width and height accordingly. Sometimes you have to get it right. Adjust the width accordingly as much as you desire until it fits your screen. Set the opacity back to 100. Set the color. Boom, we got our first icon here. All smooth. Next things next. We use a text block. We make sure that this doesn't happen. The fact that we replaced all of the parent objects with the single text block is inconsistent. Press Ctrl Z if this happens. Now repeat the process. Make sure that you click grid before you plop the text block in. We're going to use pop-ins for this video. As before, we're going to use pop-in semi-bold. No classic. Set it to 16. And we'll name it Noggin. Set the brush, DB. And we're going to continue. There's another bug in which you may notice from the Visual Studio. Usually when you do this, it may stick towards the actual item. Be sure not to do that if you're going to make any significant changes. Move the second text block over. Now, set the style from semi-bold to medium.
Unfortunately, Zara had a stroke, so I'm going to be taking over the video. As you can see on the right hand side, we're adjusting the size of the login text. And now we're going to change the color to a little bit more of a blue tint to match the background. Okay, so we're going to adjust the top margin of the text block, and we're going to adjust the width of it to fit the text that we're about to replace. This text just fits a little bit better, and it gives a little bit more details about what it's supposed to do. We're going to adjust the size of it so you can see all the text. And then we're going to lower the font down a little bit to fit the minimalistic design of the UI. So now we're going to add the exit button. We're going to get rid of the background and the border effect, and we're going to change the content of the button. So we're grabbing the data for the icon right now. We're going to paste that in there. And then we're going to go and adjust the width and the height of it so that you can see it better. We're also going to change the color to the same color that we use for the text on the bottom right there. And then we're going to go down and adjust the stroke of it so it's a little bit more visible. Right here, we're going to be adjusting the width and the height of the exit icon. Moving some stuff around to rearrange kind of the look and the feel of it, make sure that everything is kind of even, every pixel counts. Right here, we're going to begin to get ready to place down the text box where we're going to enter our key. We're going to go ahead and copy this text, and then we're going to delete all of that and replace it with key, and we're going to put a star there. So now we're going to make the text block a little bit smaller. That way we have room to work with a little bit more instead it doesn't take up more space than it needs to. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to edit the font weight of this over here. We're going to make the text a Poppins medium, and the star is going to be a Poppins semi-bold or around there. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the color of that to a reddish, actually. And you can edit the color and the font weight of text by highlighting it, even if it's in the same text block. So that's a pretty cool feature. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to select the grid, and we are going to go and we're going to put down a text box right here. This is where we're going to enter the key that we just got from our key system through. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to edit template, edit a copy, and you're going to enter the name for the copy that you're going to make right there. And now we're going to be getting rid of the border, and we're going to be styling this essentially. So we're going to go over here, we're going to get rid of the background, and we are going to be changing the color of the border brush to fit the style of the UI a little bit better. Alright, so we're adding a corner radius now, so we're going to add it about 4, which is a pretty good corner radius for this UI. Now we're going to be creating an animation so that when we hover over our text box, it turns a sort of blue to let you know that you're hovering over that. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to add another storyboard so that when our mouse leaves, it goes back to the normal color. And right here we're setting it so that is mouse over is enabled, and that it will trigger this storyboard when the mouse is over it, and it will activate the other storyboard when the mouse leaves. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the font to Poppins medium over here. And then we're going to adjust the padding of this to center a little bit better, because right now it's kind of in a weird position. We're going to be changing the foreground of the text over here to make it more visible so that we can see it. And what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be adding a little border as a divider between this text box and the buttons that we're going to be placing in a little bit. We're going to be changing the height of this, and we're also going to be adjusting the color of this to fit the UI a little bit better. So we're going to go over here and we're going to click the grid, and we're going to go and we're going to drop down a button right over here. Alright, and then we're going to right click it, we're going to edit template, we're going to edit a copy, and we're going to add a name. This is to keep it a little bit more organized, and we're going to call it primary because the first out of 2 buttons we're going to add. And down there we're going to type corner radius, and we're going to make it about 6 because it fits kind of the theme of the UI a little bit. We're going to actually remove the border brush and the background, and then we're going to go back and we're going to add the background, and it's going to be a sort of a bluish background. And then that's actually a little bit too blue for us, so we're going to go and we're going to make it the same blue as the key icon. You can use the color picker to do that, and that's still a little bit too bright, so we're going to darken it up a little bit. And yeah, that looks a lot better right there already. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the font to Poppins. And then we're going to go and we're going to change that to login, and then we're going to resize this a little bit because it's a little bit too tall. And then we're going to change the foreground to a whitish, and that looks really good. And now we're going to edit the template again, and we are going to be adding a storyboard here, which is, it's an animation. This animation is going to make it go up and back down when you hover over it. So as you see, we add the story animation, we drag it up slightly, and then we save that animation, and then we make a new animation, and we're going to drag it down slightly. And then right there, simple. And then this is what you do. You save that all, and then you copy the button, and we're making our submit button now. You're gonna add a secondary, which is your second button. Could be the first one is primary. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna change the background color of this. Make it a little bit darker. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna be deleting the content inside of this button. And then we're gonna be grabbing a grid on here because we're gonna have a text block and an icon in here. So we kind of want them to be held together, and that's what grids do. You can put multiple items inside a grid, and they're all inside of like a group per se. And we're gonna go to Notepad, and we're gonna grab the data for this icon. Just copy that over there, and then we are going to grab the pen tool, and then we're gonna go down to the data, and we're gonna fill that out right there, and we're gonna make this a little bit wider right here. And we're going to, there is no fill, so we're going to add our own fill, and it's kind of like a blackish, and we're going to change the stroke thickness, and then we're going to change the fill to the whitish color that we've been using this entire video, and then we're going to resize that a little bit. And for the layout, we're going to change the width down to like an 8, and then we're going to center this button a little bit, and then we're going to grab our text block, and we are going to throw that down right there. And this is our get key button, so we're going to type get key in right here, and then we're going to size down the box a little bit, and that way we can center it more evenly. So now we're going to center that, and then we're going to move the plus button. Yeah, and that looks nice. So we're just going to center this a little bit better. You can use your arrow keys to move it up and down like that. It's better to make it more precise positioning like that because it moves it up 1 pixel at a time. And then we're going to resize this UI a little bit to get rid of some of that white space right there. We're going to resize the window as well. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add an animation to this. So you just create a new style just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and we are going to select the button, and we're going to go triggers, and we are going to delete those so that you don't get a weird white effect when you click the mouse. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add an effect for is mouse over, and we're going to do an opacity effect for this. So we're going to change the opacity right there to 75, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to set the hand or the cursor to a hand, so when you hover over it, it changes to like a clicking. That's about it for the X, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to start up the UI right here and see how it looks. So the text box works, animation works, that looks pretty nice. Oh, you have a weird white effect when you hover over that button, so we're going to go ahead and fix that. We're going to edit the template, and we're going to go and we're going to remove that from is mouse over, and we're going to set to deactivating, and we're going to do the same for the bottom one right here. Remove those, and reset those. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to start the UI up. Like that. It looks pretty nice. Everything works properly. Then we're going to close that, and we're going to go delete those and start the UI up here. Gonna delete that really quick. Yeah, then we're gonna start the UI up, and everything should be functioning properly. Text box animation works, X animation works. Anyways, that's it for today's video, guys. So make sure to check in tomorrow and leave a like. Subscribe.